The lantern's glow cut through the frosted window of the old ranch house. The first sign of life Jack Harlan had seen there in 10 long years. He swung down from his saddle, every ache in his battle-hardened frame screaming caution. His trusty Remington revolver weighed heavily on his belt. Out here in the Texas Panhandle, 40 miles from Amarillo, uninvited guests spelled danger rustlers, land grabbers, or worse. But as he kicked open the door, what waited inside stopped him cold. A woman perched in Anna's rocking chair, flipping through Anna's worn journal by the dim candle flame. Her auburn hair tumbled over her shoulders like autumn leaves in a breeze. Those same slender fingers that had once brushed his cheek, the same elegant tilt of her head that plagued his nightmares. Anna. The name slipped out like a ghost's whisper. She glanced up, her hazel eyes locking onto his, but the face was fresher, fiercer, untouched by time. "I'm Lydia," she said softly. "Anna's sister." Jack's fingers twitched toward his gun. In that instant, the fortress he'd built around his shattered heart started to crack. 10 years of isolation, 10 years honoring a grave, and now Thesa, living echo of his lost love in his dead wife's seat. What does a man do when yesterday crashes back, wearing a face that stirs forbidden fires? When loyalty and longing clash like a storm on the plains. Texas Panhandle, November 1892. The wind howled across the flatlands, carrying the chill of an early winter that had already claimed half the herds in the region. But Jack Harlan scarcely felt the bite anymore. Cold had been his shadow for a decade. He'd been a different man once, before the drought of '82 stole everything worth having. Memories hit him like a gut punch. Anna Whitaker, just 19 when she stepped off the Santa Fe rail in Amarillo. Born to Chicago high society, all lace gowns and diamond pins, with that entitled gaze city girls wore like armor. But Anna saw past Jack's rough, edges-scarred ranch hand with dirt under his nails and a squint from endless sun. She saw a future. "You don't say much," she'd tease at their first barn dance, her silk-gloved hand light on his sleeve. "Nothing worth saying to fancy types like you." He grunted back, true to form. Her laugh rang out like wind chimes on a porch. "Maybe that's why I need to hear it." 3 months later, she'd shocked her family by wedding him, swapping velvet for cotton, opera houses for a log cabin, gas lamps for kerosene under the vast Texas stars. For 3 blissful years, she'd thrived. Jack saw it in her morning smiles over biscuits, the way she'd race to meet him after a day on the range, the glowing letters she'd penned to her kid sister Lydia about their quiet joy. "I never dreamed peace could feel this full," she'd murmured one twilight, her head on his chest as the sunset bled red over the prairies. Then the drought struck in July of 1882. Turning rivers to dust and grass to ash for months on end. Anna fell ill in the heat fever from tainted water, the doc said. By autumn, Jack was carving her headstone with blistered hands in the parched earth behind their home. She passed, whispering his name, her eyes glazed, staring at horizons he couldn't reach. Back to November 1892, and now her sister invaded their sanctuary, poring over Anna's secrets. The likeness punched him in the soul, but where Anna had been calm as a still pond, Lydia sparked like flint on steel. "How'd you track me down?" he demanded, easing his revolver back. Lydia rose, and he noted how the frontier's edge had already honed her the plush curves of urban ease sharpening to raw resilience. "Anna's letters," she said, her voice edged sharper than Anna's ever was. "She wrote of you, this ranch, her happiness." Happiness? The words soured on his tongue. "She died here in that bed, begging for relief I couldn't give." "She lived here first," Lydia shot back. 3 years of real life more than most get. Outside, The gusts rattled the shutters. A norther was brewing. With Amarillo 40 miles through rugged Badlands, this woman, this perilous reminder, would be stranded overnight, maybe longer. It should have scared him spitless. Instead, watching her navigate Anna's kitchen with innate poise, a flicker deep in his gut stirred, perilously close to warmth. For the first time in 10 years, something thawed. But warmth, Jack Harlan would soon discover, could scorch worse than frost. For weeks blurred into a haze of revelation. Lydia couldn't boil water without scorching it, turned stew to sludge, brewed coffee strong enough to wake the dead. But damn if she didn't try every dawn. She was hopeless on horseback. The first roundup, she tumbled twice and nearly got gore by a rogue steer. Yet she climbed back up, dust-caked and defiant. Anna had adapted seamlessly, born for ranch life like breathing. Lydia battled for every inch, earning blisters and bruises through pure grit. And Lord help him, Jack caught himself staring. The way she chewed her lip in focus, swiped stray curls with a flour-dusted wrist, arched her neck in laughter that echoed through the empty house. She was nothing like Anna. She was everything like Anna. Then came the night that shattered the fragile peace. December winds screamed like banshees around the cabin. Jack had ridden to Amarillo for provisions, leaving Lydia's Saloa blunder he'd curse forever. He caught the whiff of trouble first, sweat-soaked hides and cheap rot gut. Danger. 2 outlaws had her pinned in the cabin, the sort that trailed cattle drives, preying on the weak. Through the window, Jack spied Lydia cornered against the wall, and his ancient Winchester trembling in her grip. One intruder advanced, leering. The other barred the door. "Easy, darlin'," the leader slurred, reeking of booze and malice. "Just need a spot to warm our bones. And maybe some company." "Get out," Lydia commanded, her tone steady despite the fear in her posture. "I'll fire." He chuckled. "You even know how that thing works?" Jack melted into the shadows, a trick honed from guarding his stock against coyotes and the 2-legged kind. The first never sensed him. Jack's blade slipped between his ribs, silent as prayer. The second whirled, only to face Jack's Remington barrel. "Ride out," Jack growled, his voice the kind that ended arguments. The survivor eyed his fallen pal and fled into the gale. When the smoke cleared, Lydia crumpled into Jack's arms, the rifle thudding down. She quaked like aspen leaves, and for once she felt breakable, human. "You're safe," he breathed into her hair, inhaling her faint lavender scent. She tilted her face up, hazel eyes stormy in the firelight, and the air between them ignited. Some barrier snapped, some floodgate burst. She wore one of Anna's faded dresses, the green one with pearl buttons. Her hair spilled loose from the fray, framing her like a vision. "Jack," she murmured, and his name on her lips coiled tension through him like wire. His hands cupped her face, thumbs grazing her jaw. She leaned in, lips parting, pulse racing at her throat. The dress had ripped in the scuffle, bearing her shoulders' creamy arc. His gaze lingered, and instead of shrinking, she unbuttoned another, then one more. Fabric sighed away, revealing softness that gleamed in the flames, curves that made his pulse thunder. When she tugged at his shirt, fingers shy but insistent, he let her. Buttons popped free, exposing his scarred torso mark from years of brawls and barbed wire. Her touch traced a faded wound, sending sparks through his blood. "Lydia," he rasped, equal parts plea and protest. But she ignored the caution, hands dropping to his belt. As skin met skin, the world shrank to that cabin. They stumbled to the bed, clothes pooling on the floor. She reclined on the quilts, auburn locks fanning like fire on snow, and Jack nearly broke from desire. She pulled him close, and he surrendered until his eyes snagged the tintype on the nightstand. Anna's wedding photo, her soft smile piercing him, accusing him. Reality slammed back like a branding iron. What in God's name was he doing? This was Anna's bed, Anna's home, Anna's kin. I can't. He bolted upright, making Lydia gasp. Forgive me, I can't. He snatched his shirt and stormed to the barn, leaving her tangled in sheets, bewilderment etching her features. Outside, the storm eased to murmurs, but inside, Jack, a tempest raged. Some cravings, once roused, clawed you eternally. 5 days dragged like eternity, they circling each other like wary wolves. Jack buried himself in chores, patching fences that held fine, scouting pastures already scouted, pushing his mount till it foamed. Anything to dodge the betrayal in Lydia's eyes. She played normally, brewed his coffee, charred his supper. But the banter vanished, silence thick as fog choking the room. On the sixth dawn, she was gone. No farewell, just echoes and Will Ruts fading toward Amarillo. Jack stood in the threshold, clutching Anna's photo one that had saved him from ruin or maybe robbed him of salvation. He couldn't parse it. 3 hours later, he spurred his horse hard for town. The Amarillo depot hummed with frontier bustle. Stockmen, traders, folks chasing fortunes or fleeing failures. The afternoon train to Chicago puffed on the tracks, poised to haul souls back to polished streets. Jack spotted her instantly. Lydia waited on the platform in her city frock, the same gray wool from her arrival, valise at her boots. She stared at the engine like it was Judgment Day young, adrift, far from the Spitfire who'd stared down killers with an unfamiliar gun. The whistle blared, all aboard. Riders filed in. Jack tethered his horse and strode over, boots thumping wood. She sensed him, shoulders stiffening, but held her ground. Running off? He asked. Heading home. Her voice masked the wound. There's a difference? She spun, eyes flashing pain that knifed him. You made your view clear what I am to you. I see you as the deadliest woman alive, he admitted. You can make me shatter every vow, cross every boundary I swore sacred. And for a man like me, that's hell. The whistle shrieked a final warning. Lydia grabbed her bag, but her steps faltered. She's gone, Jack. Anna's been dust for 10 years, and you've been buried with her. Maybe that's right. She edged nearer, her lavender teasing the air. But is it what Anna would have wanted? Before he could retort, she boarded, claiming a window seat. Through the pain, their gazes tangled. The train jerked forward. Lydia flattened her palm on the glass, hesitation flickering like she might halt it all. But she didn't. Jack watched till it vanished in the haze, bearing her to Chicago and a world without him. Then he turned for his hollow ranch and the specters lurking there. But some specters fight the grave. 3 days of torment, that's what Jack dubbed the void after Lydia's departure. 72 hours pacing like a pen bull, her ghost in every corner. Her off-key humming over the stove, her nestled in Anna's chair with a dime novel, firelight gilding her skin. The bed linens still whispered of lavender and loss. On the fourth morning, he saddled up without thought, body overriding brain. He needed her back. The trail to Amarillo stretched infinitely, each mile a battle with doubt. What word could mend this? The station shimmered in noon heat like a fever dream. His horse heaved, spent from the push, but as Jack scanned the crowd, his heart seized. There she stood, beside trunks. Her gray will swap for plain blue calico Anna's green dress. No, this was Lydia's choice, the one with shell buttons from that fateful night. She eyed the eastbound train, but glanced west toward him. Eyes met across the throng, noise fading to nothing. Jack approached slowly, like taming a Mustang. Folks milled, kin embracing, sweethearts parting, deals struck. None mattered but her, 20 paces off, hope and hurt warring in her stare. Thought you'd hit Chicago by now, he said, close enough to count her freckles. Made it to Lubbock, she whispered. Couldn't go farther. Why? She studied her hands in his hands, but tougher, ranch roughened. Hit me on that ride. Anna didn't just rave about this land. She wrote of you the man who sparked her joy with a glance, showed her grace in the grit, loved her so fierce he'd sooner rot than dishonor her ghost. The whistle wailed all aboard East, but she pressed on, eyes lifting. She also begged you find happiness true living, not this half-life. Jack's barrier shattered, a decade's armor dust. Lydia, don't, she silenced him with a raised palm. Say nothing. If you want me on that train, back to Chicago, what to Elias Thornton, erase from your days I'll go. She inched closer, gold flecks in her hazel eyes gleaming. But if you want me home, if you reckon Anna'd pardon us for grabbing life over graves. The conductor bellowed last call. Stragglers rushed aboard. Jack seized her hand warm, vital, no phantom. Come home, he grated, voice thick with buried feeling. With me. The train chugged off empty of them, as his horse bore them across the sweeping plains, shadows trailing long. They rode not from history, but into whatever dawn they'd forged together. What do you think about Jack and Lydia's choice? Was it betrayal or redemption? Drop your thoughts in the comments, take a side, share your view. I'd love to hear if you chase love like that or honor the past forever.